last year's finalists go at it. In 1994 in Vancouver, the Baltimore CFLs and BC Lions went toe-to-toe in the final showdown. The expansion CFLs were looking to make history by winning the Cup in their inaugural season. And with Tracy Ham leading a disciplined passing attack, the Baltimore club was on its way, at one time leading 20-10. However, they were facing a team of destiny, and in the end, kicker Louis Passaglia will be the hero for the Lions. But how quickly times have changed. Golden Boy quarterback Danny McManus, who led them throughout the playoffs in 1994, has thrown 25 interceptions and will watch this one from the sideline. The Lions have lost 4 straight. But here in Baltimore, the club has a new name, but the same look. Tracy Ham to Mike Pringle. So tonight, 2 teams going in opposite directions, tee it up once again, but they each have one thing in common. They're going after the same prize. From Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, it's North versus South, a rematch of the 1994 Grey Cup as the Baltimore Stallions play host to the BC Lions. Good evening, everybody. Glad you can be with us here in Baltimore for our coverage of the Canadian Football League on ESPN. I'm Gus Johnson along with Mike Mayock, and when you look at this Baltimore Stallions squad, they're rolling 13-3. They've clinched the home field advantage throughout the playoffs, but a different story for BC, Mike, and it's almost as if 2 teams are going in opposite directions.
Said that very well, Gus. I'll tell you what's happening. Baltimore has not lost a football game since August 12th. That's 8 games in a row. They're playing extremely good football. The flip side, though, BC has lost 4 in a row, and Gus, I don't care what anybody says, you don't want to go into the playoffs having lost 5 or 6 games in a row.
At quarterback for Baltimore, Tracy Ham. He's been consistent for both of his years here in the Charm City, but for BC, a different story.
Sure is. We're going to have some fun tonight. Julio Caravata is replacing Danny McManus. Now, I think Mac could play tonight. Got a little bit of an injury, but they're going to let Caravata play. Ironically, I think it's going to help them in the playoffs. If he can play well tonight, they can go into the playoffs with 2 good quarterbacks like their run to the Grey Cup last year with Kent Austin and Danny McManus.
So when you look at this football game, what are the keys?
Well, let's start with BC. First of all, they've got to calm Julio Caravata down. He is pumped up. I was talking to him before the game. He can't wait to play. Secondly, they've got to establish Corey Philpott, the 2nd leading rusher in the league. And lastly, and probably most important, their defense and special teams has got to force turnovers.
And how about for Baltimore?
Well, for Baltimore, whenever you're a favorite, really the most important thing is you can't let the other team have big plays. And that ties right into the second key, which is ball security, no turnovers. And lastly, every week, the same key for Baltimore. They've got to establish the best running back in the CFL, Mike Pringle.
And behind the best running back in the CFL and one of the most disciplined quarterbacks, Baltimore has done well. Meanwhile, in the Northern Division standings, Calgary is on top, 14-2, without Doug Flutie in the lineup. Meanwhile, Edmonton's right behind them, and BC in 3rd place currently with a 9-7 record.
But significantly, Gus, look at Hamilton. They had a chance to tie or beat BC for 3rd place and not have to go to Calgary, but they lost to Ottawa. That puts them in the 4th position.
And in the Southern Division, we've talked about the Stallions, and there they are, 13-3, but you have to really like the efforts turned in by San Antonio and Birmingham this season.
Ironically, for Birmingham, they could end up tied for 2nd place, or they could end up out of the playoffs losing to Memphis. The key there, they've lost Matt Dunnigan, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, for the rest of the season. BC
won the opening toss. They deferred and will allow Baltimore to receive the football. Dave Ritchie in his 3rd season with a 33-22-1 record, a veteran coach of the CFL, coaching in Montreal, Winnipeg, and Ottawa. And Don Matthews in his 2nd season here in Baltimore. 18 years he's been a coach in the Canadian Football League, the 4th winningest coach in CFL history. So Louis Passaglia, the 20-year veteran in the Canadian Football League, does both the punting and kicking, and he will send it away. A beautiful night for football. 50 degrees at Memorial Stadium, and this is Chris Wright from his own 20. And Wright goes down at the 33-yard line. Gain of 13 for the rookie out of Georgia Southern.
First and 10 from the 35-yard line.
Special teams will play a huge role tonight with Chris Wright.
offensively for Baltimore. Sharper Donish is up front. He was the most valuable offensive lineman in the CFL last season, but has had problems with injuries. Backs and receivers, Mike Pringle, his second straight 1,000-yard season. He is a free agent at the end of the year, and they throw it to him on first down. Pringle at the 40-yard line, spinning, gets up to the 45, and is finally stopped at the 47-yard line. 11-yard pickup for Mike Pringle.
And that was a lateral, Gus, not a forward pass. Interesting
Pass
play.
complete to Mike Pringle. Good for the first down.
So Mike Pringle picks up 11 yards on first down, and that's another first down for this Baltimore squad. First down and 10 from the 46-yard line. Chris Armstrong in motion. They're throwing the ball again, and it's complete. This is Gerald Alford. Alford was an all-star slot back when he played for Winnipeg. Kelly Sims making the hit. And now he was waived by the Blue Bombers and comes to Baltimore and could be the best receiver on their team.
You've got to account for Gerald Alford on every play. Been in the league 7 years. He's had 5 1,000-plus yard seasons. He's a good football player. You can see Tracy Ham going without a huddle, has every play so far, Gus, calling the plays at the line of scrimmage.
Gain of only 1 on the last play, second down and 9 for Ham. Straight drop back. He moves out of the pocket, fires underneath, and it's complete. Chris Armstrong, who leads his team in every offensive receiving category, picks up 10 yards there. Now defensively for BC, Glenn Scribner was the leader of their all-Canadian defensive line last year, but has been inconsistent this season. The linebacking core, an active group, probably the heart and soul of their team. Virgil Robertson is their leader, and in the secondary, James Jefferson returns from Winnipeg. He was on the Grey Cup championship team last year. Here's Ham going up top, incomplete. Ball intended for Robert Clark. Clark just activated off the practice squad. He replaces rookie Mark Orlando.
That football was thrown about as well as a football can be thrown to a tightly covered receiver. Robert Clark had an opportunity to catch the football, and the defensive back did not.
Robert Clark out of North Carolina Central, played with the Detroit Lions as well as the New Orleans Saints in the National Football League. And with the acquisition of Gerald Alford, Baltimore feels like they have the best receiving core in the Canadian Football League. Here's Tracy Ham. Underneath, incomplete. Intended receiver Robert Clark, he got a hand on it, but was unable to haul in the football.
Tyrone Chapman almost had an interception there. One of the few times you'll see Tracy Ham actually telegraph where he's going to throw the football that early. Good opportunity for BC to make a turnover and didn't come up with it.
That brings on Josh Miller to do the punting for Baltimore. He's averaging 47.9 yards per punt, the #1 punter in the Canadian Football League. He is a weapon. And back deep for BC, Eddie Thomas, who's standing at his own 10. Angle to the near side, Miller goes into the end zone, and Thomas will get out of the end zone, and that will be a single point in the Canadian Football League. So Baltimore goes on top by a score of 1-0.
My favorite play, Gus, La Rouge.
Return from the end zone.
60-yard punt by Josh Miller.
For him, that's not really out of the ordinary. He's had an 80-yard punt earlier this year. He averages 49 gross, but what I like is they net almost 43 yards on every punt. That's a great statistic in any league.
That brings on Julio Caravata, the starting quarterback for this BC Lions squad. It's the first time since October of 1993 when a Canadian kid has started at quarterback in the CFL. So they're looking for him to do good things. He's passing on first down to the far side. It's intercepted. Chris Johnston with the interception at the 50-yard line. And Julio Caravata making the turnover on his first pass of the game.
Could not have scripted a worse start. Watch the hit he takes after he lets go of the football, and the free safety ends up making the play.
So Chris Johnson, first-year player out of San Diego State, picking it off.
Johnson made a good play, the free safety coming over top and helping out the defensive halfback.
So on his first pass of the game, Julio Caravetta turns the ball over and gives this Baltimore squad great field position at the 49-yard line. Mike Pringle running the football, and he doesn't go very far. No gain on the play. Henry Newby making the tackle.
Great field position for Baltimore so far, and this is the type of offensive club they are. They want to run Pringle, and then Gus, they're going to take the quarterback Tracy Ham, play action, and get him on the corner.
Mike Pringle is rushed for 1,665 yards on the season, and in the CFL, which makes it so interesting, it's a passing league. Tracy Ham calls all of his own plays, but he has no problems having his tailback run the football. He's going to throw it this time under pressure, stepping up. Ham gets close to the 40-yard line. He's down at the 42. Tackle on the play made by Brian Ford.
BC is going to force Tracy Ham to throw the ball to the outside. They're taking their linebackers and they're walling off on the inside cuts. See, Tracy likes the inside cut. It was walled off, and being the athlete that he is, he makes a little something out of nothing, but that still leaves 3rd and 4.
So that brings on Carlos Huerta, who's 50 of 63 on the season. 49-yard attempt for him, and he's 14 of 17 from this distance on the year. Dan Crowley, the backup quarterback, is his holder. High snap, he gets it down. Line drive kick, and it's good. Carlos Huerta nails his 51st field goal of the season, 49-yarder, and it's 4-0 Baltimore. The CFL on ESPN is being brought to you by Fannie Mae, showing America a new way home, and by Rayovac Renewal, reusable alkaline power. Play it smart. 49-yard field goal by Carlos Huerta, and the Baltimore Stallions have taken a 4-0 lead over this BC Lions squad. And Huerta is a guy that's going to draw a lot of attention from the NFL once this season is over, because unlike most of the kickers in this league, he doesn't use a kicking tee.
Well, he's smart. He knows where he wants to get ultimately. That is the NFL. He's used to kicking off of a grass surface because he played at University of Miami. Good job, though, by BC's defense forcing the long field goal.
And your scoring drive, 3 plays, covering 8 yards, and didn't take him long to get into the end zone. This is Eddie Thomas from the 15. Breaks it up the middle, and Thomas had a lane, gets up to the 40-yard line, up to the 42. 26-yard return from Eddie Thomas.
Gus, it's going to be interesting now to see how Julio Caravata reacts after that first pass, which was a poorly thrown interception of that last series. I think they're going to come back, probably try and establish Philpott and take some of the pressure off of Julio.
And Julio Caravata comes into this game 10 of 18 for only 161 yards. This is his first start. 5th-year player out of Simon Frazier, who doubles as the backup kicker and punter. And on first down, he throws again to the far side. Darren Flutie at the 45 makes the reception. Gain of 4 yards. And that's a guy you want to get in the mix very early.
That's a good matchup for BC. Darren Flutie has had success over the years working against Kenny Watson. You see Watson following him across. They'll be man-to-man all night, and Darren Flutie's had excellent success over the years. Just a little pick play. Gus, you and I both know, legal play, right?
Darren Flutie has had problems with his hamstrings all year. He's only played in 9 games. Last week, though, against Hamilton, 8 receptions for 130 yards. Second down, Caravata throwing again, and he's got his favorite guy. That's Darren Flutie, another reception, but there is a flag on the play.
Notice the play selection, pretty interesting. Brand new quarterback, never started a game before. 3 plays, 3 passes. The most interesting aspect is, guess who's calling the plays tonight? Julio Caravata is calling his own plays, and he's showing the confidence he has in his arm.
And talk about the differences between Caravata and Danny McManus.
I spoke with their coaches and players yesterday and today, and they all said that Danny McManus has one of the most active arms in the CFL, but Julio's every bit as
Major
strong.
foul, unnecessary roughness, BC number 64. After the ball was dead, first down.
That's Gary Sawatsky, who is usually the backup guard. He moves into the starting spot as Jamie Terrace moves over to play center for the injured Ian Sinclair. So they march it back. This time Caravata will line up in the shotgun. Firing underneath, complete. Joe Murphy close to midfield. He ducks under, but there are flags on the play.
And that was thrown by the back judge. You're going to see a holding call, 2 plays in a row, self-destruct on the drive.
BC number 64. Repeat first down.
Now that's 2 plays in a row that Sawatsky's cost them over 20 yards. One was unnecessary roughness. The next play, what happens? Watch 64, the right guard. Hard to see from that angle, but they've got him for the hold.
So that'll make it first down and a long 20 yards for the BC Lions. They set up the screen in the middle. This is Philpott trying to break it outside. He's hemmed in and finally goes down at the 40-yard line, making the 41. Gain of 13 for Corey Philpott. And he's also been suffering with injuries on the season.
Nice call here. A little screen, middle screen. You see the block by Tarras, 60 in front. He makes O.J. Bergantz miss him. And here's a guy who runs about a 4.440. And all you want to do in this situation after 2 major penalties is try and get half of it back so you've got a realistic shot on second down and make it first.
Second down and 7 now for the Lions from their own 40-yard line. Caravata out of the shotgun again. Steps up in the pocket and goes down. Number 98, Gerald Bayless with the tackle. That'll be his 3rd sack on the season and force the BC punting unit to come onto the football field.
Some good pressure coming from the outside. Watch 56, Alfred Payton. He's the guy that forces him up into the pocket, and that allows Gerald Bayless to clean up. Good job by Payton.
Louis Passaglia doing the punting and the kicking for BC, averaging 39 yards per punt on the year. Back deep, Chris Wright, one of the most dangerous return men in the Canadian Football League. Not a very good punt by Passaglia. Takes a BC bounce. Here's Wright retreating. And Chris Wright goes down at his own 30-yard line. 37-yard punt and a 2-yard loss for Chris Wright. And we will have another penalty against the BC Lions, and we'll sort it all out right after this quick commercial break. Stay with us. And welcome back to Baltimore. You're taking a look at Dave Ritchie, the head coach for the BC Lions. His team down 4-0. And Coach Ritchie has stuck in there with his squad because they have struggled with injuries. That's been the key for them this season.
He's a good football coach, has a defensive reputation, has been a defensive coordinator throughout the years in the CFL.
Ritchie also won the Division II National Championship while coaching at Fairmount State in Fairmount, West Virginia during the 1980 season. You know, I got recruited by them coming out of high school.
They can't possibly be national champions. You're talking about
one of the only letters I ever got, right?
You got a letter?
A letter. I got a good letter from them and everything. I remember that.
What'd they need, a swimmer?
No, they must have. They needed a stat guy. First down and 10 from the 42-yard line for the Baltimore Stallions. Mike Pringle, the lone setback. 4 receivers in the ball game for them. They go straight ahead. This is Pringle. Plenty of room for him up to the 50. Making the 51-yard line. 8-yard gain for last year's Eastern Player of the Year.
Doesn't matter that he had a little flinch there in the CFL. Watch the acceleration, though. The reason he's so good is, number one, he's got great acceleration, and number two, he's so strong. Even though he's 5'9", 195, he's got great upper body strength. He benches about 400 pounds.
Makes it 2nd down and 2. Pringle again, trying to run off tackle, but it's going to be close. Initial contact made by Henry Newby, second-year player out of Fairmount State.
I just talked about his strength, Gus, and you saw how he broke the tackle at the line of scrimmage. You're going to see 3 wide receivers now come wide side, and it's just going to be a straight handoff looking for 1st down. Watch him break the tackle of Newby right there. That's just pure strength. And he will continue to fight with 4 or 5 guys trying to tackle him. He's a bull, Gus.
And Mike Pringle picks up the 1st down. He is a free agent at the end of the season, and they expect him to get some good looks from NFL teams. 1st down for Tracy Ham. Let it go. Almost intercepted. James Jefferson had the football, but it looks like he was a little bit surprised that it was that close to him.
That's 2 times tonight that Tracy Ham has forced the football in a situation where he shouldn't. Really surprises me. The problem is you have to take advantage of those opportunities. James Jefferson is a wily old veteran. It hit him right between the 2 and the 0. I think he was amazed, like you said, that it wasn't closer to Chris Armstrong.
James Jefferson played 4 years with the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL. On 2nd down, to the far side, incomplete, intended receiver, Gerald Alford. And Baltimore unsuccessful. They'll have to punt it away.
BC is going to force Tracy Ham to beat them in the pass game outside the numbers. He doesn't have a great arm, and they're not going to let him take advantage of the seam routes inside.
So far, Tracy Ham is 2 of 6 for 12 yards, but he's missed his last 4 passes in a row.
And he's gotten away with 2 very poor passes that could have and should have been interceptions.
Josh Miller standing at the 38-yard line. And he gets off a beauty, high spiraling punt, angle toward the near side. Eddie Thomas inside the 10, finds a seam up the middle, and he gets to the 15-yard line. But what a weapon Josh Miller is. And with 5 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the 1st quarter of play, Baltimore still hanging on to a 4-0 lead. 5:03 remaining in the 1st quarter. Don Matthews, everywhere he's gone in the CFL, he's won, like here in BC during the 1985 season when he led him to the Grey Cup. Different hairdo there for Coach Matthews.
A little curlier and a lot more of it.
Very successful, though, with the BC Lions as he goes against his former team this evening.
You want to talk about success, Gus? Here's a guy, 9 Grey Cups, 6 wins. He's been there and he's gotten it done.
Also was the defensive coordinator for the Edmonton Eskimos, where he coached our friend Dan Kefley and won 5 Grey Cups there as the defensive coordinator on the same team with Warren Moon. 1st down and 10 for the Lions from their own 14-yard line. Flags on the play. Caravata throwing to the short side for Yo Murphy, but it's an incompletion, and
Jamie Terrace telling us it's going to go the other way. Yep.
As John Ireland tells us, it's offsides against Baltimore.
Offside. Baltimore number 98. Repeat 1st down.
This is the type of situation where BC can't let this game get away from them. Poor field position. Watch on the left side of your screen. They just jumped into the neutral zone.
That's 11-year veteran Gerald Bayless, who was the 1993 Defensive Player of the Year in the CFL. Says this may be his last year. A fumble. And it looks like the Stallions have picked up the football. I think it's Matt Goodwin, the bottom of the pile, coming up with it. Last year's CFL Rookie of the Year. And the 2nd turnover of the game for BC.
I was just starting to say you can't let it get away from them. They've got poor field position. They've got to make smart decisions with the football. And what happens? First play, fumble.
That's Philpott.
Yeah, it looked like he never secured the football. It was a high handoff. Ball was on the ground. He never had it. And you're going to see how the big play guy, Matt Goodwin, one of the best young football players in the CFL, comes up with the ball.
Baltimore has it at the BC 27, first down. Tracy Ham throwing, steps out of the pocket. Ham ducks under at the 27-yard line. Good secondary coverage by BC.
Giveaways, takeaways, one of my favorite stats. And you can tell Baltimore at 13-3 is plus 14. And here you've got BC, the Grey Cup defending champion, in the minus category. You can't win football games when you give it up more than you get it.
And you take a look at Matt Goodwin, who played at Iowa State in college, had a 3.0 average in political science while playing at Iowa State. Here's Tracy Ham on second down and 8. Incomplete. Eddie Thomas knocking it down. Number 80, Gerald Alfin, had a step, but Ham unable to put it on him.
Eddie Thomas was laying in the weeds, Gus. They were playing zone. They made it look like man. Watch what happens here. Tracy thinks he's got post corner man-to-man coverage, but the cornerback, Eddie Thompson, drops off his man and comes in late. That's the third time tonight BC should have had an interception, and now it's going to cost them a possible 3 points.
36-yard field goal attempt for Carlos Huerta, his second of the game, at a 49-yarder a couple of minutes ago, and he remains perfect. 2 for 2. Carlos Huerta had 5 field goals last week against Hamilton. And the Stallions go on top. 7-0.
2 field goals plus La Rouge, and all of a sudden it looks like a normal game at 7-0.
There you see Coach Ritchie trying to rally his troops, and I guess the positive that you can take out of that is they haven't allowed Baltimore to get into the end zone.
I give BC's defense thumbs up for at least playing well, but they're not taking advantage of opportunities. At the top of the show, what did we talk about? Create turnovers. They've had 3 opportunities to create turnovers, and they've dropped all 3 possible interceptions. And let's face it, their offense isn't helping them any, because Julio throws an interception the first play of the game, and then Philpott comes back and fumbles it on the last series. So at least the defense is playing well enough to keep them out of the end zone, but not taking advantage of the opportunities.
And your scoring drive, 3 plays.
Special teams player.
And once again, it doesn't take them very long to get into the end zone.
Well, it's 3 plays minus 1 yard. The last one was 3 plays, 8 yards. The defense is doing the job. Offense can't continue to put them in that situation.
So Carlos Huerta sends it away. Eddie Thomas at the 16. Trying to break it outside, and nothing doing. Tracy Gravely making the tackle on special teams. He's a starting outside linebacker. Only a 6-yard return for Eddie Thomas.
Hey, when you only have 35 guys on your roster, your starters are going to play special teams, and Tracy Gravely's a good football player.
6-year player out of Concordia College. Leads the team in tackles with 71 on the season. And that brings on Julio Caravata once again. 5th year out of Simon Frazier. Broke all kinds of records playing for Simon Frazier, but a different challenge here. All play action, short roll. Steps up, fires underneath, incomplete. Intended receiver Rob Gordon.
Little play action trying to take advantage of Baltimore's man-to-man coverage. Baltimore does a good job here. There's the fake to Philpott. Julio on the corner, looks back over the middle. There's your friend right there, number 54, Alfred Payton.
So Caravetta trying to put something together with the ball on the 25-yard line. Out of the shotgun, under pressure, and he goes down once again.
You get another hold, and it might be against Sawatsky again. I'm not sure, but the key there was the pressure up front by
Demetrius Maxey.
Maxey made the play, but
Holding. BC number 62. Decline. 3rd down.
And that's Vic Stevenson.
Stevenson's the tackle on the right side, number 62. Baltimore ran a little stunt, and he put his big meat hook around Demetrius Maxey. get him for the hold. The penalty will be declined, forcing a punt situation.
And this Baltimore defensive staff is really high on Demetrius Maxey. He replaced Alfred Payton at the defensive tackle spot. They think he's really going to help out. Here's Chris Wright from the 52, straight up the middle. Chris Wright running the football with effectiveness on the punt return, averaging 12.2 yards per punt return on the season. And he leads the club in what they call big plays, Mike.
Well, take a look at right there. He set 9 special team club records this season. He's one of those special players. He's got 28 plays over 25 yards this year. That's just outstanding.
We'll have more on Chris Wright as the game progresses. First down and 10 from the 43 for the Stallions. Mike Pringle, the lone setback, and here he is running straight ahead. Flag is thrown on the play. He'll be shy of the 40-yard line.
Mike Pringle, the ball carrier.
Back judge threw the flag. It will be a hold.
So in the early goings of this game, Michael, we're seeing a whole lot of penalties.
Penalties and missed opportunities, Gus. I don't think...
Holding. Baltimore, number 68. Repeat first down.
That's Sharp for Donish, 6'6", 280-pound second-year player. There's the yardage on the penalties.
Five penalties already. Pordanish, number 68, gets called for the hold. Talked to Shar before the game tonight. He was the offensive lineman of the year in the Eastern Division last year and had ankle injuries the whole season. He told me before the game it's the best the ankles felt all year. He's ready to go.
First down and a long 20 from the 54-yard line. And firing incomplete. Intended receiver Toby Cates, first-year guy out of South Carolina.
That's the throw that I've been talking about that BC is going to force him to make to beat them. Tracy does not have a strong arm nor an accurate arm when you make him throw the ball all the way across to the other side of the numbers. That's good, smart defense by BC. Take away the seams, make Tracy throw the ball outside.
Tracy Ham has missed his last 8 in a row. That makes it second down and 20, and he'll operate out of the gun from midfield. Dumps it off to Mike Pringle as they tried to set up the screen, but he had a lot of pressure in his face. Virgil Robertson. And Robertson was really close, so Ham had to get the ball off quickly.
Brings up an interesting question. You've already clinched your division. You've got home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It's very difficult to keep your edge for the last 2 games of the year when you really, in essence, have nothing to play for. And I think you're seeing a little sloppiness on behalf of Baltimore.
Here's Josh Miller from the 40-yard line. And he gets off another beauty. Eddie Thomas at the 10. Sidesteps one man. Turns it upfield, and Eddie Thomas gets up to the 25-yard line before being tackled. Peter Tuipulotu with the hit for Baltimore. 44-yard punt, 15-yard return for Thomas.
That is a guy with some bounce in his leg. You know, when you watch punters and you watch kickers, you can just, sometimes the ball just takes off the foot, and he's that kind of guy. He's really got an explosive leg.
And we were talking, and you were telling me about how much of a weapon he is when you look at the numbers, too.
Their net punting average is 42 yards. For example, BC's at 32 yards, so every time they punt the ball, there's a 10-yard difference.
First down and 10. Philpott running over the right side, and he gets up to the 35-yard line, make it the 36 before being tackled. Chris Johnson with the hit. 12-yard gain for Philpott.
Now that's BC Lion football. You're going to pull the backside guard, Sawatsky, toss sweep, and let Philpott get up in the hole, run some people over. That's what they have to do, Gus. They've got to start establishing some dominance up front.
Corey Philpott last year broke John Volpe's single-season rushing record. He rushed for 1,451 yards this year. Another 1,000-yard year. He has 1,121. Picks up the first down there from the 36. Quick strike out to the far side, incomplete. Matt Clark, the intended receiver. And that is the end of the first quarter of play. BC trailing Baltimore by a score of 7-0. And welcome back to Memorial Stadium, where the Stallions lead the Lions by a score of 7-0 as we begin play in the second quarter. So far, it's been a struggle for Julio Caravata in his first start of the season.
Continues to throw the football, though. I'd like to see them try and get Philpott established here if they can.
Second down and long from their own 36. To the near side, Philpott at the 40. Turns it upfield and picks up the first down. Kenny Watson dragging him down from behind, but he'll get close to the 50-yard line.
You know, Gus, if you're an offensive coordinator and you've got a guy like Corey Philpott, there aren't a lot of Corey Philpotts around. You've got to find ways to get him the football, whether you're handing it off to him or throwing it to him, and that's what you saw in that last play.
Corey Philpott has 38 receptions out of the backfield on the season. Toss sweep, trying to get outside, but Tracy Gravely meets him as the Baltimore defense did a good job stringing that play out.
Yeah, they have two good defensive ends, Grant Carter and Alfred Payton. And if you're going to run toss sweep, you've got to block the defensive end, and they didn't get it done on that play.
They'll lose 5 yards on the play.
Watch from the right side of your screen, number 54, Carter. He doesn't make the tackle, but he bumps it outside and allows Gravely to get there. You've got to block the defensive end if you're going to run toss sweep.
So a loss of 5. Makes second down and 14 from the 45-yard line. They set the screen up in the middle. Good hit. But Corey Philpott just gets jammed right into the ground. Courtney Griffin making the tackle. Third-year player out of Fresno State.
Courtney Griffin's their nickel guy. He come in and just reads the screen perfectly. Sees Philpott, and there's the picture tackle right there. Nice play.
And we got a flag on the play.
Objectionable conduct. Baltimore number 9. After the ball was dead. Still third down.
That's Charles Anthony, the 5th-year player out of UNLV, and he's the veteran in the secondary, with Irv Smith being out of the lineup.
I like how they call it in Canada. What do they say? Objectionable conduct?
Objectionable conduct. I heard
in the
Mike
States, they just throw the flag and say, hey, that's roughing, you know. Objectionable conduct.
That brings on Louis 20 years in the CFL.
I mean, you must get flagged every weekend a bunch of times if that's the definition.
There you go. From the 40-yard line, he'll be sending it away. Chris Wright standing at the 21. Angle toward the far side, out of bounds at the 27. Louis Pasaglia only averaging 39 yards per punt, and the Stallions will get the football right after this. And a 28-yard punt by Louis Pasaglia gives the Baltimore Stallions solid field position at their own 26-yard line as they lead BC 7-0 now. Both of these teams faced each other at the beginning of the season, and BC walked away with a 37-34 win at BC Place in Vancouver.
See, usually these guys play a competitive game, Gus, and the reason is that they're very similar type teams when they're both healthy. BC, Baltimore both want to run the football, play sound defense and special teams, and that's why they usually play good, tight, close football games.
So first down for Tracy Ham and the Stallions from their own 26-yard line. This is Skinny Culver in the game. As they swing it out into the flats, he gets up to the 30. Finally stopped at the 31-yard line now with the addition of Gerald Alpin and Toby Cates. Culver has been thrown on the second unit.
Little slip screen pass. Tracy Hampson. Oh, man, I thought we had Skinny out there.
Skinny Culver now on the second string. And he was not very pleased with that when told by Don Matthews.
That type of play is often one block away from a big play.
Second down and 5. Wide open receiver. This is Armstrong cutting it back inside at the 50. Armstrong sprinting down the sidelines, and he's tackled at the BC 45.
Now, James Jefferson's been around a long time, but he made a horrible effort on the tackle here. Chris Armstrong's just going to take a little catch in the flat. Zone coverage. Now watch Jefferson. Poor effort. Doesn't even get a hand on him. Good block on Tommy Europe, which opens up the sidelines for Chris Armstrong. James Jefferson's got to make a better effort than that.
Should have been a 27-yard game, but they say he stepped out of bounds in midfield. And on first down, Mike Pringle bouncing it outside. He gets down to the BC 50-yard line. Tackle made by Charles Gordon.
You keep waiting for one of these teams to get some kind of spark going. You know, a big play, see what happens. Michael Pringle can electrify you.
Gains 6 yards on the play, makes it 2nd down and 4. Rather 2nd and 5. Ham in trouble, and Tracy Ham goes down Henry Newby with the sack. Second-year guy at a Fairmount State, and that's his first sack of the season. And Ham will lose 5 yards on the play.
Well, you know, if Henry Newby's sacked, it's because of a blitz. They're bringing 6 people this time. Tracy steps up, and Henry Newby gets a sack. Good pressure on the outside, forcing it back into the blitz man, Newby.
Brings up 3rd down, and Josh Miller standing at the 41-yard line. High hanging punt fielded by Thomas. A flag has been thrown. It should be a no-yards penalty. And Thomas still on his feet, finally written down at his own 21. 41-yard punt by Josh Miller. 8-yard return.
Now, if you're used to watching American college football, you've got to give the receiver a 2-yard bubble to catch the ball. But in the CFL, you have to give them a 5-yard bubble. So most of us here in America are used to just 1 or 2-yard bubble.
No yards. Baltimore number 69. First down.
The trade-off is you have to give him a 5-yard bubble, but he's got to return each and every punt. You can't just fair catch it like you can in the States.
It's Robert Davis being flagged for the penalty. He's the long snapper for the Stallions out of Shippensburg State. Local kid out of Washington, D.C. First down and 10 now for BC from the 30. Philpott met in the backfield. Tracy Gravely getting a lot of pressure, and he comes up with the tackle. And into the ball game now for BC. Number 12, that's Eric White, a second-year player out of Bowling Green. Has not attempted a pass this season, so Julio Caravata's debut comes to a quick end.
Yeah, they activated White after the 5th game of the season. Here comes his first pass.
Underneath, and it's a strike. Catch made by Rob Gordon. Now that's a combination that you should see, because last year Eric White played for the Toronto Argonauts, and Rob Gordon also played for the Argonauts, in which he caught 74 passes for over 1,000 yards last season. And there's Julio.
I talked to him before the game. He was sky high about his opportunity, and here we are not even halfway through the second quarter, and we're down to Eric White.
Gain of 10 on the last play. First down from the 43. Short drop to the far side, complete. Yo Murphy, he steps out of bounds at the 50.
Now, Eric White, Gus, is more of the prototypical drop back guy. He's 6'6", 225 pounds. Great arm. You can see just on those first 2 passes, he's got a very, very lively arm. I'm looking forward to watching him play. The quick hook there. Offensive coordinator Gary Hoffman.
Stallions and Lions both trying to head into the playoffs with some momentum. Second down 5 from the 48. This is Philpott straight ahead. Picks up the first down and gets the midfield. Corey Philpott, a lot of explosion hitting the line of scrimmage.
Kind of interesting, Gus. Remember last year we covered this team on their drive to the Grey Cup. Here's a good look now at Philpott. Very quick through the hole. But the thing about them last year is Danny McManus came off the bench and provided a spark. Now what they're looking for is somebody else who can do that for McManus. Can it be Eric White? I don't know.
So with Eric White in at quarterback, BC on their most successful drive thus far. And he just flicks this one out of bounds. Closest man to the football was Robert Gordon.
I have no problem with that, though. I'll tell you right now, I don't have any problem anytime a quarterback says, I'm going to throw it away and get you on the next play. That's offensive coordinator Gary Hoffman. Had 6 years in Saskatchewan, knows Don Matthews very well. His first year here at BC as the offensive coordinator.
And he's got his hands full for tonight's ball game, to say the least. Second down and long from midfield, out of the gun. They set up the pocket on the right side, incomplete. Intended for Yo Murphy. He got one hand on the football, but couldn't haul it in.
Now that's my pet peeve with young quarterbacks right here. They throw the ball too late. They want to hear, he's on the corner. He's got Yo Murphy wide open. If he threw it 3 steps earlier and on target, Yo Murphy has an opportunity to catch the football and turn up the field without getting hit. That ball's thrown 3 steps too late.
So Louis Pasaglia stands at the 40. Chris Wright back at the 25. At 253 yards last week, 2 weeks ago rather, in returning the football. And here he is again, and you can see why. Look at him, still on his feet. Chris Wright breaking it outside at midfield. And Chris Wright all the way inside the BC 40-yard line. And he does a little jig, 31-yard punt, 48-yard return for the rookie. 7-0 in the second quarter. Chris Wright, 48-yard punt return. Last week he had an 89-yard punt return and a 100-yard missed field goal return.
Great acceleration, but it was all set up by the very poor punt by Pasaglia. Not only was it 31 yards, but it was also low. That gave Wright an opportunity to catch the ball and get up the field with a head of steam.
So let's see what Tracy Ham can do now with excellent field position. The ball sitting on the Lions' 35-yard line. Skinny Culver in at wide receiver. He splits out to the near side. Armstrong's in the slot. Ham passing on first down. Plenty of time. Steps out of the way of one defender. Complete. This is Culver shaking and baking and goes down inside the 35.
Tracy to Skinny Culver.
Skinny Culver, his 40th reception of the season, but he'll only gain 2 yards on the play.
Now remember, 31-yard punt, but watch the moves and the acceleration by this guy. One of the most special punt returners I've seen in a long time. I asked special teams coach Dave Easley from BC, why is he so good? He said, Mike, he's got a burst you can't believe. He's just got a burst that no one else can copy.
Chris Wright, rookie out of Georgia Southern. Ham throwing it again on second down. Incomplete. Intended for Chris Armstrong. Would have been a tough catch, but a catch that he should have made.
Big confusion there in the lineups and what the wide receivers ran. Shannon Culver and Gerald Alphen ran the exact same route. That's where Tracy Ham was trying to go, but he had 2 Baltimore guys standing in the same place in the crossing route. Just the penalties, the turnovers, missed assignments, it all adds up to me that Baltimore has just lost a little bit of that edge.
40-yard field goal try by Carlos Huerta. He's a perfect 2 for 2 on the evening. This one low line drive, and it's good. Carlos Huerta nails a field goal, barely getting it across the crossbar, and Baltimore up 10-0. 10-0 score. Carlos Huerta has nailed 3 field goals, a 49-yarder, a 35-yarder, and now a 40-yarder for the Stallions. Last week he had 5, and already it's not even halftime, and he has 3, and there's a scoring drive. Not a very long one again for the Stallions.
But think how they've scored 9 of the 10 points. The first one was an interception. Defense holds, they kick a field goal. The second one was a fumble by Philpott. Defense holds, they kick field goal. And the third one was set up by the punt return. Defense holds, they kick a field goal. BC's defense has played extremely well. It's time for their offense to step up.
Eric White, who replaced Julio Caravata, still leading the way now for BC. Here's Philpott on the toss. Gets it upfield and is tripped up at the 35-yard line.
Now, they've run that play 3 times. Twice it's been very successful. They've had Sawatsky and Mantika, the 2 guards, pulling out in front of toss sweep.
Alfred Payton making the tackle for Baltimore.
Now, Philpott's got almost over 1,100 yards this year, and he missed 3 games. Just a good football player.
Didn't play last week against Edmonton. Picked up 2 on the last play. And here he is again. Philpott up to the 50-yard line. He's down at the Baltimore 45, and he's just carrying people with him.
He made a great move in the hole and then ran right through the tackle of Tracy Gravely, who's a good football player. I mean, this kid is so quick and so strong. That's what makes him special.
21-yard gain for Corey Philpott. And remember the knock on him last year? He didn't come up big against teams with over 500 records.
Yeah, there were 2 knocks. Number 1 was in the big game, where are you? And number 2 was he put the ball on the ground occasionally. But boy, is he an exciting football player.
First down from the Baltimore 44. Philpott again lowers his man. Tracy Gravely making the stop on the right side.
First sustained drive so far by BC, and it's mostly almost all on the backs right now of their tailback, Corey Philpott.
And he's not a big guy. Goes about 5'8".
He's deceiving, though. He's one of those real tightly compacted guys. He weighs about 190. From the waist down, he's one of the strongest guys I've ever seen. That's why people bounce off him.
In his 3rd year out of Ole Miss, 2nd down and 7 from the 41. White. And he has it batted down at the line of scrimmage. Alfred Payton getting those hands up.
They call him SWAC, the Southwest Athletic Conference. Payton played for Grambling. If you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up. Watch what happens here. He reads the quarterback, the hands come up. That's just an excellent, good football play right there.
So this brings on Louis Pasaglia in to attempt a field goal. Ball being spotted at the 47-yard line. 47-yard attempt. High enough, and it is good. Pasaglia barely gets it through the uprights.
His long for the year is 49. That was pushing the envelope for Louis right there. You know, the older he gets, the more leg strength he loses. He's a very accurate kicker, but 47's a long way for Louis.
Pasaglia came into this ball game 40 of 58 on the season, converting on 68% of his field goals, and that 3 points finally gets the Lions on the scoreboard. It's now a 10-3 ball game with 4 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in the quarter.
I mean, how about a touchdown? Did they outlaw him this weekend or what? We've got 3 field goals and a rouge for Baltimore, 1 field goal for BC. Defensive battle so far. There's Darryl Adralin in front of head coach Don Matthews. Adralin is a special teams coach for Baltimore. Boy, does he do a great job.
I was talking to Ray Ferraro, the New York Rangers center.
I hope you know where you're going here.
I know where I'm going. Just hang with me here. Now, he's a native of Vancouver, and he told me one day in the locker room, he says, Gus, man, Louis Pasaglia is still kicking for BC. I remember watching him when I was a kid.
He's the only guy in this league older than me, I guarantee that.
Here's Wright inside his own 20, breaking it up the near side. Has some room. Chris Wright up to the 50-yard line, making the 51.
Now remember, one of the big titles in this league is the all-purpose yards champion. Coming into the week, Pinball Clemens was number 1 and Chris Wright was number 4, but there's only 71 yards separating them, so Chris Wright's having a good night so far. Watch him go get the football. Nice catch to start with. Now watch the burst. Boy, he's good. Every time he touches the football, Gus, there's a chance he could go all the way, and there aren't many of those guys around.
Wright needs 177 return yards to break Gizmo's record of 2,202. It's safe to say he probably will get that. And Mike Pringle running the football on first down, and he picks up positive yardage. Henry Newby making the tackle for the Lions.
It's their version of the counter tray. They pulled the backside guard, Mark Dixon, who got a good block in the hole, pushed the pile, and they pick up 5 or 6.
Brings up a second down situation for the Stallions. 2nd and 4 as Pringle picked up 6 yards on the last play. Here's Ham. Over the middle, complete to Alford, and he's tackled inside the 45. That's Henry Newby once again making the hit for BC. 11-yard game for Alford, and he was part of a pretty good tandem in Winnipeg. Gerald Wilcox and Gerald Alford. They set a lot of records playing for the Blue Bombers.
And Wilcox, let's face it, he won the most outstanding Canadian award last year, so you know he's a player, and Alford was a great counterpart on the other side.
Caught for over 1,000 yards last year. 3-minute warning. We're at right now. Your score 10-3. With 3 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the second quarter of play for Baltimore. Ball sitting at the BC 45-yard line. And Don Matthews had a chance to talk to him in his office yesterday, and he was really adamant about his team not letting up despite what their record is, and wanting to go out there and play all of his regulars to get that momentum going into the playoffs.
You know, I think he's saying all the right things, but that's one of those things, Gus, that's easier said than done. It's just human nature to let down when you don't have that carrot out in front of you.
First down from the 45 of the Stallions. Handoff, Pringle running to the short side of the field, and he's tackled from behind. Nice play by Brian Ford, the outside linebacker. And he prevents Pringle from gaining any yardage on the play. Second-year player out of Washington State.
You can tell Baltimore starting to scent a little bit of domination of the line of scrimmage. They want to run Mike Pringle. So far on this drive, they've run him almost every play. They're starting to push the pile a little bit. Plenty of time left.
And this team is 15-1 when Mike Pringle rushes for 100 yards or more. Ham throwing. Has a receiver. This is Armstrong at the 25, turns it up and gets down to the 20. James Jefferson making the stop along with Kelly Sims. 25-yard gain.
Tracy Ham, I believe, is still down, and there's a flag in the backfield.
Major foul, roughing the passer, BC number 48, first down.
Watch Brian Ford blitzing outside linebacker. Ball is gone, and he makes the late hit. Chris Armstrong is one of my favorite wide receivers in this league. Big, strong, and fast, but you're going to tack on a half the distance on top of the reception. Big play with 2 minutes and 36 seconds left in the half. Let's see if you can see the hit. Very late. Not a brutal hit, but a late hit.
Gone over the 1,000-yard mark.
And with that reception, Chris Armstrong now goes over the 1,000-yard mark on the season. Came into the game with 56 receptions for 947 yards, averaging close to 17 yards per catch. Ham again in the end zone for Armstrong. Touchdown, Baltimore.
Chris Armstrong with the touchdown from Tracy Ham.
10th touchdown of the season for Chris Armstrong as Tracy Ham throws his 19th touchdown. And Baltimore extending their lead over BC.
It looked like the defensive back, Gordon, was expecting free safety help and didn't get it. Good pass right there. And actually, that's Jefferson. I'm sorry, not Gordon. Looking around for Tommy Europe. Man-to-man coverage, no help. A couple of times tonight, Jefferson's been abused by Armstrong.
And there are the numbers on Armstrong. 4 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. Leads this team in every receiving category.
Kick is good.
So with 2 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the first half, Baltimore goes up 17-3.
Nice touch by Tracy Ham. Well thrown ball. Jefferson has no chance. Armstrong doesn't. Remember, Gus, back of the end zone, you've got 20 yards to work. So when you're in the red zone, you can still throw that deep seam route.
Chris Armstrong, 6'2", 200 pounds, big, tough, wide receiver out of Fayetteville State. And Tracy Ham still a little bit gimpy after taking that hit from Brian Ford.
There's a guy I think could play in the NFL. Out of Fayetteville State, I think he got overlooked coming out of college. Big, strong, fast, great hands, and he'll block you, too.
And an interesting story about Chris Armstrong. He was playing in Washington, D.C. in a semi-pro league. And Tracy Ham came to Baltimore, knew he was down there, and told Coach Matthews, you know, Chris is down there, Coach. We need to give him a shot. And Coach Matthews says, hey, if he can still run, we'll give him a look. He came into camp and ran a 4.5.
Called teamwork.
Eddie Thomas inside his own 20. Running up the far sideline, and Thomas goes down at the 35. 16-yard return for him.
Eddie Thomas on the return.
And there are the two guys, Tracy Ham, Chris Armstrong, buddies. And you want the quarterback to sit next to you, right? You always want, if you're a wide receiver, the quarterback to sit next to you.
If there's anybody you want to be buddies with, if you're a wide receiver, it's that quarterback.
First and 10 for the Lions from the 38-yard line.
Really got his bell rung.
Yeah, I didn't think that first hit was horrible, but the second one was pretty good shot.
Julio Caravetta back in the football game, and on first down they give it to Pringle, and he's stopped by Demetrius Maxey, first-year player out of Utah.
You know, Gus, the eyes are the window to the soul, and you can see Tracy Ham right here. Still looks like he's just a little bit out of it. He's taking a couple shots. He's closing the eyes. All the signs of a possible concussion. I don't think he has one, but you want to be careful.
8 of 16, 79 yards, and 1 touchdown on the evening thus far.
He's a tough guy.
Second down and 9 for the Lions. Caravetta underneath, and it's almost intercepted. Chris Johnson had his hands on it, but couldn't haul in the football. And you can see how strong Caravetta's arm is, especially on that last throw.
No question about his arm strength. The problem is on that play.
Procedure, BC number 4, decline, third down.
That's John Leach, the rookie fullback out of Wake Forest.
The problem, though, is that what Caravetta is doing is what every young quarterback does to some degree or another, which is to drop back and look straight at your target. And when you do that against a good defensive backfield, they're going to pick you off.
Fifth punt of the night for Pasaglia, his longest, only 37 yards. Finally gets off a good one, sends right back to the 32. He starts upfield and met at the 38-yard line.
Right on the return.
A good special teams play by their backup free safety. That's Frank
Pimisker.
Yeah, he did a nice job there. 1-on-1 tackle, open field with Chris Wright.
So a new quarterback in the lineup for Baltimore. Sean Jones replaces Tracy Ham. He's in his third season out of Georgia Tech. Led the Rambling Wreck to a national championship his senior season.
Sure did. I remember that year.
And they're very high on him. They like the way he runs the football, and I think he has some future talent in this league. This is Pringle. Mounted it outside, and what a hit put on him by Kelly Sims. But it looks like Sims may have taken most of that because Pringle just bounced right off of him.
You know, and they're kind of smacking each other and saying, good job, good hit. Kelly Sims is 5'10", 200. He's going to bring the load with him here. Watch this. He's going to try for the knockout shot inside out right here. Bang. Pringle just kind of throws him off. That shows you how strong Mike Pringle is.
Second down and 8. Jones rolling, firing to the far side, incomplete. Robert Clark, the intended receiver. And the Stallions will have to send it away. And there's Tracy Ham.
I'm telling you, he's taking a couple of shots. if I'm Don Matthews, ahead 17-3 right now, late in the second quarter, I'm not sure he gets back in the football game. I'm thinking 2 weeks from now. I'm thinking playoffs.
Josh Miller at the 26. Eddie Thomas back at his own 30. And still retreating. And finally, a bad punt by Josh Miller. This one off the side of his foot. Fielded at the 31-yard line by Thomas. And he goes down at the 34. Flags have flown on the play. Tackle made by Kenny Benson. 35-yard punt for Josh Miller.
First poor punt by Josh Miller. We're going to get an illegal block there, I think, on Pimiskern.
Illegal block. BC number 18. First down.
18 is Frank Pimiskern. He made the tackle on the last special team play, but gets caught for an illegal block on this one.
So the Lions will have the ball set closer to their end zone as Julio Caravata comes back in. He's 6 of 9.
I wouldn't feel very comfortable if I was BC right now, the way my offense is playing tonight, coming off the last 4 games, having lost all 4 of them. Wrong direction.
A minute and 18 seconds remaining in the quarter. Draw play to Philpott. He goes down at the 31-yard line. Gerald Bayless making the tackle for the Stallions. And Bayless, in his 11th season out of Southern Mississippi, he's really been hanging in there. He's a nose guard and draws a lot of attention. For most of his career, he's been double teamed, but he is that veteran and that calming influence on that defensive line for Baltimore.
He's a leverage player. He's only 6 feet, 270. You can't get underneath his pads. Just one of those guys, real strong.
Second down and 6. Caravata to Flutie, and Darren Flutie with the reception at the 37-yard line.
Now, we talked Darren Flutie. The first 2 passes of the game went to Darren Flutie. One complete, the other called back for a penalty. They haven't come back to him until right now at the end of the half.
And what a year for Darren Flutie in 1994. Had 111 receptions for 1,730 yards. Broke both of BC's records for yardage and receptions in a season.
You sound surprised. He's a BC boy.
And
you know he can play.
Last weekend, the BC Boston College Eagles didn't do too well against Army from what I was looking at.
I'm going to rub it in.
Yeah,
huh?
I got to rub it in a little bit, all this BC stuff.
Well, all I know is if your last name's Flutie, you can play. That's all I know. Regardless of which one, I think Darren doesn't get his due. Doug is a great football player, maybe the best that ever played in this league, but Darren is really special too.
Caravata throwing again, and it's tipped at the line of scrimmage. I think Demetrius Maxey got a hand on it.
See, that's a big series, though. And what Baltimore wants to do is get the ball in Wright's hands again on another punt return, get field position, and try and kick a field goal. There's still plenty of time with 29 seconds.
So Pasaglia trots back onto the football field, and Chris Wright will get a chance to handle the ball as he's standing on his own 35. Don't forget, Carlos Huerta has been perfect so far, 3 field goals for him. And Pasaglia gets off a bomb, sending Wright back to his own 20-yard line. Wright gets a block.
Watch out.
One-on-one. Tries to turn it outside, but a great defensive play made by Tyrone Chapman. Wow. As he broke down and managed to hollow Chris Wright in.
That is the loneliest feeling in the world. One-on-one like that in the open field with a great return man, and Tyrone Chapman, a linebacker.
Major foul. Face mask. BC number 4. First down.
John Leach activated last week, the rookie out of Wake Forest. Big mistakes, Gus. And now here it goes at field position again. The ball's on the 48-yard line, and there's 14 seconds. You have an opportunity, 2 plays and a field goal if you can get down the field.
Sean Jones on the season, 34 of 60 for 433 yards. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And he's throwing. Underneath, complete. Gerald Alford at the 50, but there is a flag on the play.
Sean Jones pass complete to Gerald Alford.
Maybe holding.
Penalty marker down.
A lot of holding calls today, Gus. And that's indicative of sloppy football. It's also indicative of good defensive linemen, which we have in this game today, but just too many penalties.
Holding. Baltimore number 68. Repeat, first down.
That was Sharp or Donish, but we just got a report from the BC bench. Tracy Ham is okay. They're going to reevaluate at halftime. There's a good chance he'll play again in the second half.
Sharp or Donish, second holding penalty of the game. Last year, he went the entire season with less than 10 holding penalties. And that was one reason he was voted the best offensive lineman in the league. Different story this year.
No, Gus. Best offensive lineman in the East Conference. Rocco Romano from Calgary. Look at that.
Here's Pringle on the screen. Spinning, and it'll be shy of midfield. Flags have been thrown on the play.
Remember, fans, playoff tickets on the enhanced sale ticket window, lower section C.
And the first half has ended, but because of the penalty, they'll get one more play. Correct.
Well, we're going to get a chance to see the arm strength of Sean Jones right now.
So they line up three receivers on the far side. Jones in trouble. Gets it off, and it's picked off. It's Charles Gordon heading for the end zone. Gordon, touchdown BC. What a play.
Oh, man.
On the last play of the half, Jones throws an interception, and Gordon runs it back 48 yards for a touchdown.
And Don Matthews cannot believe what he just saw. That's a young quarterback not understanding the situation. You don't ever throw the football late in the flat in that type of situation. That is horrible. Watch the break on the football by the wily veteran Gordon. At this point, nobody's got an angle on him. Drummond will close the distance, but no way. All of a sudden, Gus, we have a football game because of a huge mistake by the backup quarterback.
Sixth interception of the season for Gordon, his second, and he's run back for a touchdown, and all of a sudden, the BC Lions head into the end zone feeling pretty good about themselves. 8 now trail only 17-10.
17, Lions 10.
Now remember, this play happened because of the penalty on the final play of what we thought was the final play of the first half. The clock will run down to 0, but they're allowed one more play because of the penalty, and it's a touchdown the other way.
Officially a 51-yard return for Gordon. Fifth-year player out of Eastern Michigan, was an all-Mid-American Conference player playing for Jim Herkimer. And the Stallions, their lead cut to 17-10. Joining us now, starting quarterback Julio Caravata. Julio, kind of a tough first half for you.
Yeah, we kind of struggled there. We took some stupid penalties when we got the ball rolling a little bit. So, you know, we know what they're doing. We just gotta, you know, settle down a little bit and just start doing what we can do best.
Hey, Julio, this is Mike. What happened middle of the second quarter? Gary Hoffman takes you out and put Eric White in.
Well, that was the game plan all along. They wanted to give both of us time, and you know, I mean, I knew going into the game that Eric was going to play in the second quarter, so it wasn't you know, because of my play or anything. They just said, you know, we wanted to give Eric some time. So you know, we got a big lift right there by the defense, and hopefully we can come out and just start moving the ball and giving it to the people that we know that can do stuff with it.
Last question. You did get a big lift there. Your defense has played extremely well. What do you got to do to kickstart the offense?
I just think we just got to, you know, I mean, they're playing man-to-man coverage all the way across. We just got to get our guys doing what they do best. The Flutie's running man routes and getting them the ball. You know, we had a few knockdown passes there, and Darren had run a couple of good routes. So all we got to do is let them do their thing, and I think we can get some things started in the second half.
Well, Julio, thank you very much for joining us, and good luck in the second half. Julio Caravata, the starting quarterback for BC, and the Stallions, they lead the Lions 17-10 at halftime. We'll be back with more after this. A 58-yard interception for a touchdown by Charles Gordon. pulled the BC Lions back into the football game at the end of the first half, and it's 17-10 the score. We're at halftime. The playoff picture is right around the corner in the Canadian Football League, and Mike, take us through it.
Well, let's start with the Northern Division, the first weekend, Saturday, November 4th. Saskatchewan or Winnipeg plays at Baltimore. That's the 5th place at first place team. And then the second game is Hamilton at Calgary. Calgary, obviously the #1 team in the Northern Division.
And another Southern Division team, Memphis of Birmingham at San Antonio. And for Birmingham, could be tough without Matt Dunnigan.
Yeah, big injuries. Dunnigan is out for the season, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, playing at the Alamo Dome. And the second one, Gus, you and I will be there. Good football game, BC at Edmonton.
Those two teams just coming off of a back-to-back series in which Edmonton won both football games. 4 p.m. Eastern time start for BC at Edmonton. And as it progresses on November 12th, the South Finals and the North Finals.
And we would anticipate that in the South, Baltimore would host, and in the North, Calgary would host. But let's face it, you never know, because the last 2 years, the highest seeded team has not made it to the Grey Cup.
And in the North, it's been 2 very disappointing years for Calgary. They've lost the Western Final, which it was last year, 2 years in a row not being able to get into the Grey Cup, and they will be looking to win that football game playing at home this season. So we're at halftime, and the score, the Stallions lead the Lions 17-10. More halftime activities right after this. Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, where we're getting ready to begin the second half of play between Baltimore and the BC Lions. 17-10 is the score at the end of the first half. BC, who deferred in the first half, will receive the football to begin this second half. This is Corey Philpott at the 21-yard line. Philpott straight up the field, and he'll be shy of the 40. And in the first half, here are your statistics. Mike, is there anything that jumps out at you?
Really isn't. I mean, the first half in a synopsis was missed opportunities by BC, good defense by both clubs, sloppy until the very end. Charles Gordon with the big interception return.
Now, starting quarterback Tracy Ham for Baltimore suffered a slight concussion in the second quarter. His return is questionable at this time. So Julio Caravata comes back onto the football field. He alternated with Eric White in the first half. And on first down, the pitch goes to Philpott, and he's wrapped up at the 45 by Alfred Payton. And we got some players getting a little active with each other.
Look like Taras and Benson. And I'll bet you in both locker rooms at halftime, they had a couple of head coaches and coordinators grabbing guys and saying, hey, that was sloppy. You got to take that intensity level up another notch.
Charlie Gordon with the 51-yard interception return on the last play of the first half allowed BC to get back into this football game. Gain of 3 on the last play. Second down 7. Caravata underneath. This is Philpott, and he's tackled at the 50-yard line. Looks like Tracy Gravely on the bottom of the pile making the hit for Baltimore.
Timing was off just a little bit. Taras, the center, had he been able to get out in front, that could have been a much bigger play, but it looks like a first down anyway.
He picks up the 7 for the first down, and BC trying to start off positive on their first possession of the second half, down 17-10.
Be anxious to see if Julio does what he told us at halftime, Gus, which is try and work Flutie in on number 33, Kenny Watson.
From the 50. Caravata stepping up, running, and a good-looking play by O.J. Brigance as he wraps up Caravata at the 50-yard line, and Brigance comes into this football game. This is his 89th straight game. In 5 years in the CFL, he's never missed a football game.
Inside out, middle linebacker, watch the move. He's not going to let Caravata outside him. Good tackle, and like you said, Gus, he's been around a long time. He's been an all-star. Not much he has not seen in the CFL.
Was an all-SWC selection playing for Rice. Played for Fred Goldsmith and the Owls. And here's Caravata. His arm gets hit as he releases the football.
It's like Maxey got a piece of it.
And the Lions will have to punt it away. And we've talked about Maxey quite often so far in this game. I understand why they like him so much.
He's an active guy out of Texas, El Paso. He's only played 16 games, but coming in, he already had 17 tackles and 3 sacks. Has been very, very active tonight.
So with Maxey in the lineup, they waive Robert Pressberry. And here's Passaglia from the 35. And another good punt for him. Drives right back to his own 17. Right straight up the middle. And here we go. Chris Wright staying on his feet, and he gets up to the 54. What an exciting football player Chris Wright is. He almost broke a big one.
If Henry Newby doesn't get a piece of Chris Wright, he's gone. You talk about a weapon in the CFL in the kicking game. Watch Chris Wright take it right back up the middle. Now watch right there, number 94 just gets a piece of him, and if Newby doesn't get that piece, he's gone.
So we've got a new quarterback in the football game right now. Dan Crowley, a rookie out of Towson State, replaces Sean Jones. On first down, they give it to Pringle. He gets to the 50-yard line. Kelly Sims with the tackle now. Crowley is a rookie. Slim kid, 6'1", 185, but Coach John Matthews says that he can really sling the football. He's got a great arm.
And he's a hometown boy. You can hear the crowd. They just announced him in the game. He's from Towson State, right outside of Baltimore here.
And he's only thrown 7 passes on the year. He'll get a lot of work right now replacing Jones. Obviously, that interception has put him on the bench. And on second down, this one underthrown, intended for Armstrong.
You know, how about welcome to the CFL? Nose guard Doug Peterson puts a good hit on Dan Crowley. Watch the hit here at the end of the play. Looking front side. He doesn't feel anything coming right up the middle, and Doug Peterson just planted him.
There's Tracy Ham. He suffered that mild concussion in the first half. Looks like he will go back into the football game. Josh Miller at the 45. Eddie Thomas back at the 10.
Good directional kick.
Miller gets it off. This is Thomas on the far side at the 10. Steps out of bounds. He'll be short of the 20-yard line. Knocked out of bounds at about the 18. 43-yard punt. Football inside their own 20-yard line.
Now, how many quarterbacks have we seen tonight?
We've seen a bunch.
How about 6? We have seen all 3 quarterbacks. Excuse me, make it 5. Danny Mack hasn't played tonight. We've seen all 5 quarterbacks that are active for tonight's game already, and we've got 10:55 left in the third quarter.
Tracy Ham, though, is taking snaps on the sidelines for Baltimore, so looks like we could see him once again. Looks like he may have shaken off the cobwebs. Here's Julio from his own 16. Swings it out to Philpott, who was open in the flats. Incomplete, though. Charles Anthony covering for Baltimore.
And not a great pass, but I'd like to see Corey make a little more effort to catch that football. I think that's a catchable ball, and there's no one anywhere near him.
Now, Danny Mack.
Let's see where that football is. 3-step drop, put it out in the flat. It's a worse pass than I thought it was.
Danny McManus is allegedly sitting out with a hand injury.
Allegedly?
Allegedly sitting out with a hand injury. And they find a receiver underneath, complete. That's Robert Gordon making the reception, and he'll pick up the first down. Now, with McManus out, they say he has a hand injury, but it's a hand injury. But it's pretty clear that the coaching staff of BC wanted to see the other 2 guys play.
That's a good pass, right on the money, thrown on time. I talked to McManus at practice yesterday. He said, Mike, you know, if I had to, I could go. I'm pretty beat up. And what I said at the top of the program, I think makes a lot of sense. If one of these 2 kids can step up, they can go into the playoffs with 2 healthy, good quarterbacks.
10-yard gain, first down from the 26-yard line. Philpott again.
You know, and Gus, and the extension to that story is that, let's face it, Caravata and White between them have thrown a total of 18 passes. You don't want to go into the playoffs without knowing you've got somebody with some experience behind them.
And so far, a good evening for Corey Philpott, 70 yards on 12 carries. 2nd down and 5 for the Lions from the 31. And Caravata throws a strike to Yo Murphy, and he'll be short of the 50-yard line. Melvin Crawford, the rookie out of Hampton University, makes a tackle, but not before they gain 17 yards.
Caravata already looks more comfortable to me in the second half. Look at him in the pocket, deliver the football. No problem. What do you think, Julio? He's got that Johnny Unitas. Just, hey.
Well, this is the perfect place to be acting like Johnny Unitas.
Why'd you think I said him, huh?
As the coaching staff looks like they're tending to Yo Murphy.
Now, the last couple passes have been the best balls he's thrown all day. Balls on time, right on the money. Let's see what happens at the end of Yo. That's called a Yo sandwich right there. Sternum shot.
Yo Murphy, very good receiver, runs excellent routes. Had 14 receptions last year. That was his 28th this season. 1st down from the 47. Play action. Caravata going deep. Incomplete. Great looking defensive play, but a flag has been thrown at the 9-yard line. Melvin Crawford was locked up in one-on-one coverage with Rob Gordon, and they called him for pass interference.
Gordon had some initial separation there, and Julio just let that thing out a long way.
Forward pass interference. Baltimore number 11. 1st down.
Melvin Crawford just activated recently for this football game. Now let's see at the very end. There's some separation. I thought he was in a little bit early. Let's see. See, there's contact before the football gets there. I hate to say that being an old defensive back, but I really think he had the arm in the basket before the ball got there.
A 53-yard penalty called against Melvin Crawford.
Got to put it in the end zone here.
And the Lions get it at the 9. 1st down, goal to go. Philpott battering ahead, gets down to the 4-yard line. Tackle on the play made by O.J. Brigance.
Matt Goodwin almost had a shot in the hole at him. He just missed the tackle in the hole. But that one of the things that's difficult with a back like Philpott is a one-on-one tackle. He's just so quick you can't get a good shot on him. Big play right here.
Makes it 2nd down and goal from the 5. Caravata under pressure, and he goes down. Alfred Payton, his 18th sack of the season.
Alfred Payton, second leading sack man, comes through untouched. And Gus, he did a good job holding on to the football, but when you're a young quarterback, you don't feel this happening. He has no idea he's even there. As he plays longer in the league, he'll feel it, I guarantee you.
Alfred Payton, 2nd in the CFL behind Jim Cofield in sacks. That was his 18th, a loss of 10 on the play. And the 23-yard field goal by Louis Pasaglia is good. And with 7 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter, BC now trails Baltimore 17-13. Alfred Payton, boy, look at him. He's smoking. And he's definitely smoking after that big sack that he came up with inside their own 10-yard line.
Hey, Ma. Hey, Dad.
You know, you would think. I think he said high pops there, but if you're BC's offensive line, you can't turn loose the number 2 sack guy in the league untouched. That's unacceptable, and that's why they didn't get a chance to throw the football in the end zone.
Melvin Crawford probably feels a little bit better after that 53-yard pass interference penalty that he drew.
A little better, but remember, he still cost his team 3 points.
17-13 is the score now. Louis Passaglia ready to send it away to the always dangerous Chris Wright, and it's a line drive kick. Wright fielding it at the 20. Dances, breaks one tackle, gets up to the 35-yard line.
Chris Wright on the return.
And back in the football game now for the Stallions, Tracy Ham. What a trooper, suffering a mild concussion in the second quarter, and he's back in the football game.
Here's where a coach walks a very fine line. You have a situation where your star quarterback has a mild concussion, but you really want to play him because your offense is sloppy right now, and you don't want that to continue. You want them to get ahead of steam, play well, and get them out of the game. But the flip side is what happens if he gets hurt.
So Ham will start with the ball at his own 34. Short roll on the play fake. Ham under pressure, and he goes down. Glenn Scrivener, his 4th sack of the season.
Tracy Ham taking a beating tonight. That's his favorite type of play. A little bootleg, get him on the corner with the guard out front. But Tracy, being a veteran, kind of felt the pressure coming from the backside. Take a look at it now. Fake to Pringle, guard pulls. Now from the backside comes Scrivener. Tracy feels it and gets down.
Who's supposed to block him?
Backside. Got to be a backside look, and maybe Mike Pringle, after he takes the fake, takes a shot at him.
So they lose 7 yards on the play, makes it 2nd down and 17 from the 28-yard line. Under pressure, and Ham goes down again. A jailbreak there, Scrivener and Andrew Stewart. Wow. Sack Ham at the 15, and he gets up slowly.
Let's just have a party and invite that whole defensive line into the backfield. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was a jailbreak. Stewart, Peterson, and Scrivener. Okay, here's Pringle. He's going to replace right side, okay? He's looking both ways. He says, which way are they coming? Which way are they coming? I'm going to go in the left flat. And look, he went the wrong way on the screen pass. They were setting up screen right. He went left.
So Andrew Stewart, in his 3rd season out of Cincinnati, picks up the sack along with Scrivener. Miller sends it away. This is Thomas allowing it to roll out of bounds inside the BC 50-yard line, and 5:45 is left in the 3rd quarter. 17-13. 17-13 the score in the 3rd quarter of play from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and we've had a disqualification. Number 14 from Baltimore, that's Jason Bryan, a backup linebacker, has been tossed out of the football game.
Yeah, there were enough flags there thrown, Gus. That must have been, what did we call that in the first half? Objectionable conduct?
Exactly.
Went a little bit beyond that, huh? There's Tracy. And Gus, I don't know. If I'm Don Matthews, he doesn't get back on the football field. I don't take a chance with my starting quarterback with the playoffs 2 weeks away.
Here's an opportunity for Julio Caravata to get some additional experience and also to gain some confidence. With the ball sitting at the Baltimore 37-yard line, his team down only 17-13.
Big opportunity here, Gus. You said it right. They've got to get the ball into the end zone for 7 points.
Caravata passing on 1st down. Another flag on the play. He's going up for everything in the end zone. Touchdown! And they say he's out of bounds.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I love the call. Out and up to Philpott coming out of the backfield, and it's going to be a legal motion, procedure on the offense.
And the side judge, Michael Cochran, was right on the play.
BC number 59, decline, 2nd down.
They declined it because they called the reception out of bounds anyway, but Todd Furtick was called. That was an excellent call. Here's what happens. Watch Furtick on the top of your screen. There it is. He jumped just prior to the snap. It's a good call. But boy, did Philpott extend beyond. He just blew everybody away in the secondary.
Very dangerous out of the backfield. 2nd down. Middle screen to Leach, and John Leach tackled immediately, this time by Courtney Griffin. And another flag has been thrown. Officials trying to take control of this football game. A lot of talking back and forth between both teams.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. BC number 60 after the ball was dead. Third down.
Jamie Terrace. Now, Gus, that's absolutely can't happen. 14 penalties already, but put yourself in BC's place. They make a big play. They've got an opportunity. We talk about there's Terrace pushing at the end. Not a big deal, but still a push. But what happens here is you're out of field goal position as a result of the penalty. You cost yourself an opportunity of 3 points.
8th punt of the game for Louis Pasaglia from the 45. And keep your eye on Chris Wright. End over end kick. Wright fields it at the 10. Makes people miss. Chris Wright still on his feet, but he gets slammed to the ground at the 5-yard line. Robert Davis, great special teams hit for BC.
The art of special teams is relentless pursuit. Watch how many people he makes miss, but they still keep coming. There's 1, 2, 3. Now watch the pursuit. 4, 5. There comes the cleanup man right there, Robert Davis. You just have to keep after the football.
Chris Wright earning his money this evening. And Tracy Ham is still in the football game for the Stallions. First down from his own 8-yard line. Pringle. Straight ahead, and he's gang tackled at the 13. Brian Ford, first contact for BC. Gain of 3.
Ford's had a solid football game. Good outside linebacker, plays both inside and outside in their scheme, does a nice job.
Ford was traded from Edmonton to BC in training camp for Leo Groenwegen.
There's an old stud. Groenwegen had been in Edmonton for several years. Good offensive lineman.
Second down, 5 yards to go. Underneath, complete. So the Stallions pick up the first down as Robert Clark makes the reception. A 7-yard gain.
Beginning of the game, we talked about forcing Tracy Ham to beat you on the outside. Don't give him the easy passes in the middle of the field. That's exactly what Tracy went back to on that play. The quick slant, and the linebacker didn't help out.
So Ham deciding to speed things up. He's calling the plays at the line of scrimmage with 3:28 left in the third quarter. 3 receivers to the near side, pump fakes, and he underthrows Robert Drummond, his fullback, who was positioned at the 30-yard line.
Tracy's one of those old gamers. He doesn't have the greatest athletic ability in the world. He's got good athletic ability, good arm, but he's a smart quarterback. He understands the game. Came out of that Georgia Southern program with Irk Russell.
Won 2 national championships at Georgia Southern. Rushed for over 1,000 yards as well, twice. Second down at 10. Ham stepping up. Throwing across his body to Armstrong. At the 50-yard line, he makes the catch. Great throw, great catch by Chris Armstrong, and a gain of 20 yards.
That's a veteran quarterback with good athletic ability, stepping up into the pocket, buying himself time. Now watch Armstrong all the way across the field, man-to-man coverage with Gordon. Stays there. He knows Tracy's going to buy him time, and there's the catch. Good play by 2 savvy veterans. Tracy just buying time, not trying to run. He's scrambling to throw, not to run.
5th reception for Armstrong. He's got 90 yards. Ham throwing again. This time he swings it out to Mike Pringle, coming out of the backfield, and he makes the catch inside BC territory. Tracy Ham, he's the 2nd all-time leading rusher in Canadian Football League history behind Damon Allen. He's still pretty mobile.
Oh, he's quick. He's a good athlete. Nice little look off to Pringle, trying to get him in the open field on a linebacker. Tracy's most dangerous when he's outside the pocket.
Pickup of 7 on the last play. Second down and 3. Pringle hopping over somebody, and he falls forward at the 50-yard line. Looks like Glenn Scribner tried to grab his ankle, but Pringle managed to get out of the way and jump over the pile.
Pringle wants to go for it. Tracy Ham saying we got to go for it. It's third down and about a yard.
Head coach makes the decision, and there it is. They decide to go for it.
That's a smart play here. Even if they lose the football game tonight, they still have home field advantage. And Don Matthews is saying to his team, hey, I have confidence in you guys.
Third down and 1. As you know, in the CFL, defense has to line up 1 yard off the line of scrimmage. This is usually a quarterback sneak, but they run it with Pringle, and he picks up the first down. Henry Newby making the tackle for BC.
I'll tell you who did a nice job there was the second back in the game, Robert Drummond. He was the lead blocker. Watch Drummond, number 2, come into your screen. Does a good job pushing the linebacker, and that allowed Pringle in behind him.
So far, Mike Pringle, 52 yards rushing on 17 carries. Gives his team a first down from the BC 49. And here's Ham audibling at the line of scrimmage. And an open receiver. Ham finds Toby Cates, the rookie out of South Carolina, his first reception of the game. And he'll pick up about 8.
Toby Cates was in the Cleveland Browns camp until the final cut this year. They say this kid can really fly. Runs a 4.3 to 4.40. Hangs onto the football. Good hit by Jefferson.
4th leading receiver in South Carolina history. Played last year with Steve Tannehill. Second down and 2. Pringle. It'll be close as once again Glenn Scribner was there applying the pressure, and that is the end of the third quarter of play. 1 remaining for Baltimore, and we'll have it right after this. We're at the start of the 4th quarter where Dave Ritchie is seeing the Baltimore Stallions control the football. This is the 10th play of their drive, covering 67 yards. They've had the ball for almost 5 minutes, starting on their own 8. Here's Mike Pringle on the sweep around the right side. He'll get down to the 20. 14-yard pickup for Mike Pringle.
Vintage Baltimore power football. They're going to pull both guards. Watch Dixon and Withicombe right there. You get it's the old Green Bay Packers sweep right there. The kick out, the seal, Pringle inside, and that's just a classic look at a traditional sweep play.
Another first down for the Stallions from the 21, and there's the drive. Here's Ham in the end zone for Armstrong. Touchdown, Baltimore. 21-yard touchdown for Armstrong, his 2nd of the game, 11th of the season.
Here goes Armstrong on Charles Gordon again. Now, Gordon's an all-CFL player. I think he's expecting help over the top because after this play, Gus, 3 defensive backs from BC got in a heated argument about who had who, and that's what you don't like to see, that kind of divisiveness.
And the extra point is good by Carlos Huerta. And the Baltimore Stallions have taken a 23-13 lead over BC. 13:56 left in the 4th quarter. Now by Chris Armstrong, is 2nd of the game, and he said he was going to break out today. And with the addition of Gerald Alfin, this Baltimore receiving core is unstoppable now, and the ball should be flying in his direction an awful lot now that they can't double team him. And he was, you know, like a kid in a candy store talking about Gerald Alfin.
Look at the scoring drive, though. How often do you see a 102-yard scoring drive? Only in the CFL, ladies and gentlemen. Gus, you're right about the receiving core, though. They are poised for their playoff run. Great group.
Huerta puts a toe into it. Thomas standing at the 16. Thomas goes out at the 21-yard line. The tackle on the play made by Robert Drummond, but Matt Goodwin was able to string that play out. Only a 7-yard return for Eddie Thomas.
Look at the separation between Armstrong and Gordon. Remember, Gordon's an all-CFL defensive back. I really think he thought he had help coming over the top. Tracy Ham says, no problem.
And there's Tracy, mild concussion at all, still gutting it out here in the fourth quarter. First down for the 23 for Caravata. Over the middle, this is Darren Flutie at the 30. 7-yard pickup for Flutie. Last week, 8 catches for 130 yards, but they've been unable to get him the ball this evening. Last year during the regular season against Baltimore on October 22nd, he had 12 catches for 251 yards against the Stallions.
Don't forget Doug's 8 catches last week. Darren's 8 catches were after missing 4 weeks with a hamstring.
Second down, 3. Flags all over the place. Philpott will be short of the first down. And it's offsides against the Stallions.
That's a gift.
Offside. Baltimore, number 98. First down.
That's a gift from Gerald Bayless. If you're BC at this point, Gus, what you've got to do is say, hey, we're only down 11 points. Look at the total yards right there. Penalties, 15 penalties, over 200 yards in penalties. Just sloppy football. But BC's got to take their time. We're only down 11 with plenty of time left. Another flag.
Caravata has it batted down at the line of scrimmage again. Elfrid Payton, that's the second time he's done that this evening.
Aside from the offsides penalty, the block that John Leach made on Elfrid Payton.
Looks like Elfrid may have gotten a quick jump on that play, too.
Elfrid went up in the air.
Baltimore, number 56. Repeat first down.
Payton was offsides. He went up in the air to block the pass, and Leach cut him. And I guarantee you, Elfrid didn't like that. Watch the top of your screen. You see number 4, and he buries him. He puts his helmet right into him, buries him, and then had a little something to say at the end. Right there.
First down, 5 from the 40-yard line for BC. Going deep again. Incomplete. Darren Flutie, the intended receiver, but Chris Johnson was right there.
Something a little wrong with this pattern. You've got 2 wide receivers in the exact same area here.
And when you look at the field, Mike,
see that Clark and Flutie right next to each other. That's horrible separation.
When you look at the field, got a lot of rain early this morning. Do you think it's really been a factor?
No, not really. It's the only factor is that BC likes to play in the rug at home. They're used to the rug. Baltimore's used to the grass. In that case, yes, it is a factor.
Second down and 5. Almost intercepted. Ken Watson had one hand on the football.
Ken knows if he catches that, he's still running.
His 5th breakup of the year.
Flutie and Watson, man-to-man coverage, should have been an interception. No question. And he gave him a little point. He said, Darren, I had you that time.
When you were playing, who was the best at converting on opportunities like that as a secondary person?
I'll tell you who I like was Everson Walls.
Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys wasn't even drafted, led the NFL in interceptions, and the guy never missed an opportunity.
11:34 left, 24-13 Stallions. Mr. Ham has stuck it out as he heads back into the ball game, up 24-13, 11:34 left. And what's Don Matthews trying to prove right now?
No, I think what you said a little while ago, he was concerned about his guys not having that edge going into the playoffs, and he's trying to make a point right now. Nobody is above the law. Tracy Ham, if you can play, you're going to play. I don't care what position. I don't care if you're a little nicked up. In my ball club, you're going to play football if you can play. And I think what he's trying to do is leave this game on a positive note.
First down from the 37-yard line for the Stallions. They line up in the I formation as Robert Drummond quickly goes in motion. They flip it out of the flats to Alvin, and he's stuck by Tom Gordon at the 35.
And Charles Gordon just got beat deep on that last touchdown pass. And when you're a defensive back, you can't have a conscience, and you've got to be aware of some things. He just took out a lot of frustrations. There goes the throw. Oh, that's on the Flutie pass. Kenny Watson. Oh, still be running, Gus.
Darren Flutie.
Little resemblance there to the older brother. Doesn't wear the hair quite as long.
Ham. Near side, intercepted again. And a penalty flag has been thrown. This is Charles Gordon, his second interception of the ball game. Out of bounds at the 16 rather. Tracy Ham making the tackle, a 28-yard return, but there is a flag on the play.
Forward pass interference. Baltimore number 81. Decline. First down.
Bad pass, but how about the tackle by Tracy Ham? He could play defensive back for me. Watch this form tackle at the end of this. Now, I don't know how you throw the pass in this situation. It's a misread right there. He thought his wide receiver was going to break out. Watch the tackle at the end. Oh, we're not going to get it. Poor throw right there. Gordon makes the cut on the football. Tracy Ham comes over, makes a picture tackle.
Chris Armstrong upset about that play.
Little miscommunications there, Gus. I think he thought Chris was going to slide outside.
BC on the Baltimore 21-yard line. High snap for Caravata. Going in the end zone, incomplete. John Leach, the intended receiver, he was locked up with the linebacker, but he didn't look over his shoulder for the football.
He had Rob Gordon wide open on the slant. They ran a little... Julio had to handle a bad snap off the get-go. Look at the one-hand catch, right-handed, but he missed the slant pattern. He had Rob Gordon wide open. He tried to force it into Leach. Another characteristic, Gus, of the young quarterback is the young quarterback will predetermine where he's going to throw it rather than make the right read and then deliver.
Caravata won for his last 6. He pulls out early and will be flagged for it. O.J. Brigant's the first defender to him.
Of course, with a name like O.J., his nickname is Juice. Topical.
Very.
Everybody knew the snap except for Julio. He's giving me the ball, man.
Kind of hurts you when the quarterback doesn't know the snap.
That's embarrassing. And, you know, Jamie Terrace, the center, he's got these 2 hands on his butt. All of a sudden, they're pulling away. He knows they haven't seen the snap count's not there yet. It's a very disconcerting feeling. The only thing I know worse than that is when the quarterback gets up behind the guard and puts his hands under the guard.
That's happened a couple times.
And it's funny because you see the guards aren't used to that. They jump about 10 yards.
Procedure. BC number 2. Still second down.
You love to see the quarterback called procedure, you know. Here he is again.
85 yards of penalties called against BC. That pales in comparison to Baltimore, though, over 100. Second down and long now for the Lions from the Baltimore 22. Caravata to Leach, and he's tackled and knocked out of bounds by Crawford, but there's another flag on the play at the 35.
Out of bounds by Melvin Crawford.
BC has not taken advantage of any of the opportunities that have been given to them by their defense.
Major foul. Roughing the passer. Baltimore number 56. First down.
And Baltimore insists on keeping this a ball game. Look at the tattoo on Sawatsky. Think he's a tough guy?
Interesting story on Sawatsky. He spent 10 years in the penitentiary for second-degree murder.
Wonder what he did to prepare himself for life after, huh?
But it was supposedly a situation in which it was a self-defense. And they give it to Philpott, trying to burst outside, and he'll be shy of the goal line. Corey Philpott came close to getting into the end zone.
But I like the call. I like the call there. They've had all kinds of opportunities. They haven't taken advantage of any of them. Get the football in the hands of the guy that's been your most productive player, Corey Philpott. And Gus, this is 3-down territory as far as I'm concerned. You've got to get the ball in the end zone, and then, in my opinion, you go for 2. You're down 11, go for 2.
Corey Philpott, all SEC at Ole Miss, and an honorable mention All-American his senior year. And they give him the football over the top, and he scores. Corey Philpott. 19th touchdown of the season. He leads the CFL with 14 rushing touchdowns. And the BC Lions are keeping it close.
Watch the elevation. 5'9", 185. Really like Corey Philpott. Now, Gus, it's 24-19. If you go for 1, you're down 4. If you go for 2, you make it, you're only down a field goal. I would go for 2 right now. I think they're going to call timeout just to talk about that.
In the Canadian Football League, each team is given only 1 timeout per half, so BC will waste theirs.
I think somebody woke up on their sidelines and said, hey, we might have to go for 2 here. I mean, that's the right call. Whether you're down 4 or 5 right now, it doesn't matter. Go for 2. Make the aggressive play, and that's what they're doing. They burned the timeout to get the 2-point conversion group on. And that hurts. You got to be better prepared than that. Dave Ritchie knows it. You shouldn't burn the timeout in that situation. Somebody ought to be thinking ahead so that doesn't happen.
Caravata back onto the field, and they will go for the 2-point conversion. Ball sitting at the 5.
And you have the option of moving it from hash mark to hash mark. It looks like they're going to leave it in the middle of the field. Often teams will put it on a hash to give them a wide side, short side situation.
BC will try for 2.
Philpott lines up as the deep back for BC. Caravata back to pass. Going in the end zone. Incomplete.
Had him, too.
Yo Murphy, the intended receiver for Charles Anthony, in the right place at the right time. 8:21 left. 24-19 Baltimore. Charles Gordon, his 2nd interception of the game, and last year BC beat Baltimore 26-23 in the Grey Cup, and Gordon had another great game, and he likes it when he takes on Tracy Ham.
Makes the break on the football, last year's Grey Cup, and now he's heading for a touchdown. And, you know, some guys make a habit of making big plays, and when that happens, it's more than just, here you go, at the end of the first half, break on the football, 6 points. He's a big play guy.
That was the first of 2 interceptions for Gordon, and here's the other one.
Gordon scores the first touchdown himself, sets up the 2nd touchdown right here with his 2nd interception. So tonight, it's Gordon, both offensively and defensively.
Mike Pringle picks it up at the 30, heading down the sidelines, and is pushed out of bounds at the 52. I tell you, Frank Pimister, pretty tough-looking special teams player.
But he's one of those Canadian-born guys who plays one of the Canadian positions, which is free safety in this league. He does a nice job.
Scoring drive,
It's the bottom of the 8th
5 yards.
Atlanta Braves 3.
5 plays, rather. 16 yards, and they score in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Capped off by the touchdown by Philpott.
Gordon's 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, totaled 79 yards.
On first down, this is Pringle. This is a counter tray over midfield, and he gets inside of BC territory.
And you have come a long way. Listen to you calling the counter tray.
What are you talking about?
Man,
I've been hanging around you.
A year ago, you couldn't spell counter tray. What happens here is offside guard and tackle, pull out in front of Pringle. This is Mike Pringle's favorite play. There's Neil Fort, the 320-pounder in front of him. A good tailback loves that play because you get 2 guys out in front and you get to pick your hole.
Gain of 6, 2nd down and 4 from the BC 53. Pringle following his blocks again. Breaks one tackle, spins, finally wrapped up by Kelly Sims.
And what would you call that one, Gus?
Looks like the same thing.
You got it, man. It's a trick question.
I tell you, it's called the Einstein theory. You hang around good people, smart people, and it's bound to rub off.
I have absolutely no idea who you're talking about or what you just said, but, you know, nobody in this crew answers to Einstein.
First and 10. Ham stepping up in the pocket, and he goes down. Once again, Brian Ford wrapping him up. He'll pick up a couple of yards on the play, but that's a coverage sack for the BC Lions.
Tracy Ham did a good job just holding on to the football because that had fumble written all over it with the weak side hit.
Ford played 4 years with the New Orleans Saints. And at Washington State was an all Pac-10 selection in 1987.
The BC just hangs around, don't they? They're down 5. They haven't played well, but they still have a chance to win a football game.
2nd and 7, nobody home for Ham. Robert Drummond had headed downfield.
This is exactly what Don Matthews didn't want to see here in the 4th quarter. Instead of getting sharper, they're getting sloppier. That's 2 times in the last 2 series that Ham and his receiver have misread each other. And Tracy's saying, I've been around here a long time, and let me tell you something, you should have broke out.
And that brings on Carlos Huerta to attempt a 51-yard field goal. He's 3 for 5 from 50 yards and out on the season. A perfect 3 for 3 this evening.
And this is a big kick because it puts him up 8 if he makes it. Too many people on the field here for BC. Confusion.
And it's wide to the right. So Darren Flutie takes a knee in the end zone. That'll be a single point.
And the single doesn't hurt you there. 5 or 6, it doesn't matter. Good play by Flutie. You get the field position at the 35.
And you can see that Huerta, he wants to make every field goal count, especially from that distance if he has any hopes of moving to another level next year.
It's a sloppy field. Tough. You know what? People don't understand. It's tougher on the place kicker's plant foot than it is his kicking foot because the plant foot slips. And then you lose a little bit of your power. Harlow's not real happy.
All-American at the University of Miami during their glory years when they were winning national championship.
He back in the Big East had a team or two in.
I'm not going to touch that one, but you can say that being a former Big East player out of Boston College. First down from the 43. Caravana over the middle, incomplete. Nobody home. And a lot of pressure being put on Julio by Grant Carter.
Carter's a good football player. He gets up the field very quickly. Defensive end, really knows how to push off the edge. Very cleanly beats Furtick's block.
He's in his 2nd year out of Pacific. 2nd down 10 from the 43 for the Lions, trailing 25-19 with 5:20 remaining in this football game. Complete to Leach. Leach trying to get to midfield, and it looks like he will pick up the first down. John Leach, the rookie out of Wake Forest.
I asked Darren Flutie earlier today what kind of player John Leach was. He said, Mike, he's a good running back, but he's even better pass receiver. It's like having another wide receiver in the game. There's O.J. Brigance with the hit on Caravata. That's what it's all about, being a quarterback, taking the hit and delivering the football.
Leach needed 10 yards. He got 11, and it's first down situation now for the Lions from midfield. To the near side, complete. Gordon still on his feet, and Robert Gordon down inside the Baltimore 35-yard line. 21-yard gain for the 5th-year player out of Nebraska, Omaha.
Julio has really come a long way just in the context of this football game. He looked shaky and nervous up front. He's calmed down, starting to showcase the strong arm. A little bit of a sidearm guy. You see him come from the side there? Does not have the classic drop back over the top throw. A little bit of a sidearm, but nonetheless, he's got a gun.
Gordon, 3 receptions for 44 yards. Handoff Philpott. He spins down to the 30-yard line. Matt Goodwin making the tackle for. Check that, Demetrius Maxey making the tackle for Baltimore.
And we've got the official attendance number, Gus, for tonight. It's the largest crowd of the year, 33,228 people. And Baltimore has the second highest average in the league behind Edmonton. So another good show for Baltimore.
And it's really cold out here tonight. It's raining earlier today.
Football weather. Getting ready for Regina.
To the far side, Murphy with the catch at the 20, and he gets out of bounds inside the 20 at the 19.
And Grant Carter can't believe that he didn't at least get a hand on the ball and maybe interception.
Run out of bounds.
Watch Caravata looking front side. Carter jumps up. The ball goes right through his hands. Good concentration by Yo Murphy. Open field runner. Gets out of bounds. Guys, we've got a football game here.
Charles Anthony knocking him out of bounds. Picks up 10 yards.
Let's see if Julio can keep his cool. Get the ball into the end zone.
John Leach again at the 15. He tried to turn it up, but Ken Watson is there to bring him down.
To John Leach.
But slowly but surely, Julio Caravata is marching this football team down the field. And with 3 minutes and 2 seconds remaining, we're at the 3-minute warning. BC still trailing 25-19, but they're knocking on the door. 19, Baltimore holding on to the lead, but BC has the ball deep inside Baltimore territory at their 16-yard line. There's Mr. Gordon.
Once again, keep in mind we're in 3-down territory here. Field goal does them no good. 2nd and 6 on the 16-yard line. They don't have to do anything crazy. Stay within the context of whatever the defense gives you.
And I really like Don Matthews' style. Straight shooter, allows his coaches to coach, doesn't wear a headset on the sideline.
And players coach. You can talk to guys that have played for him, and you know, it's indicative. When he got here in Baltimore, he went out and tried to hire the best players he could, and a flock of them came. He's a player's coach.
2nd down, 6 yards to go from the 16 for the Lions. This is Philpott. Plenty of room on the right side, and he'll be close to the 5-yard line and close to the first down.
That's what happens when you're in 3-down territory. You don't have to do anything crazy, and it forces the defense to respect both the run and the pass.
And Corey Philpott running between Jamie Terrace and Gary Sawatsky.
For the Lions.
Plenty of room there for the tailback.
Offensive line has done a good job. Ian Sinclair, the starting center, is out. Terrace moved from guard to center, and Sawatsky steps up for the start.
And he picks up the first down. First down, goal to go from the 7. Philpott again. Corey Philpott. Nice bunch of running there, and he gets into the end zone for the touchdown.
For the touchdown.
We talked about the strength of these two running backs, Pringle and Philpott, from the very beginning. Both of them are small, neither 200 pounds, but their strength for their size is incredible. Watch the push on the right side. A hit right there at the line of scrimmage, no wrap, and then he makes the cut, and it's a touchdown.
7-yard touchdown run by Corey Philpott.
No wrap right there at the point of attack, and you better wrap Corey Philpott or you will not tackle him.
And Philpott, who's 185 pounds, ran right over Elfrid Payton, who goes 6'1", 230 pounds. His 2nd touchdown of the game. Extra point is good. And the BC Lions have come out of nowhere and lead this football game 26-25.
This is a crazy football game. Take a look again at the push on the right side. No wrap by Payton. And Philpott will run right through that one every time. In Payton's defense, he had a blocker in his chest. But you got to do a better job at the point. There's the smack at the point of attack.
Paul Blackwood, number 19, backup fullback, coming up with a nice block for Corey Philpott to spring him.
Yeah, Blackwood's a blocking back out of Cincinnati. He did a good job with not allowing Elfrid Payton to wrap the arm.
And your scoring drive, 9 plays, covering 67 yards. and they score in 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Philpott on the evening, 19 carries, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Here's where you got to cover. You got to go get Chris Wright.
And it's out of bounds at the 20-yard line. So Baltimore has a decision. They could make BC kick it over.
Or they could take the football. If you have Chris Wright, you're probably forcing to kick it over. There's Philpott's totals. You know, he averages over 5 yards a carry, and that's exactly what 19 for 102 comes out to. Just over 5 a carry.
BC number 5. Re-kick. 5-yard penalty.
What happens is Louis is trying to kick the ball away from Wright as much as he can and make him run to catch the football. That time he just pushed it a little bit too far outside right. Dave Ritchie sitting there saying, can you believe we might win this football game? How badly have we played tonight, and we might beat the 13-3 Stallions.
They've lost 4 straight ball games.
This is what they need. They need some momentum going into the playoffs. Directional kick.
Peter Tuipulotu running from his own 30, and he's upended at the 44-yard line. Only a 10-yard return. Tuipulotu started the season as the #1 fullback, but was beaten out by Robert Drummond.
Now let's remember, because of the penalty and Pasaglia's leg, field position starts at 44-yard line. They don't have to go very far to get into Huerta's distance, especially when you remember that the goalposts are on the goal line, not 10 yards deep.
They need about 25 yards to get into Huerta's distance. And they'll start from their own 43. Ham, safely in the pocket, caught. Nice fingertip grab by Robert Clark. 18-yard gain.
They're already on the outer edge of Huerta's distance right now. Get a look, trips to the wide side of the field. Little look in right there with Robert Clark. Chapman overruns it. That's a good read, and this is where championship teams make plays right here, Gus.
First down from the 46 for the Stallions. Mike Pringle, the deep back. Following his block, Pringle at the 40, cuts it up, and goes down inside the BC 40-yard line. Tommy Europe making the tackle along with Henry Newby.
Now that didn't look like much of a play, but he picked up 8 yards on the counter tray. He had the big right guard, Mark Dixon, number 64, out in front of him. And 2nd and 2, it's fun to be a quarterback when it's 2nd and 2.
So Tracy Ham, who calls his own plays, doing a good job mixing it up right now.
Let's see if Tracy goes with some kind of play action here. Fake it to Pringle and get himself in the corner.
From the 38-yard line. Pringle straight ahead. And he'll get down to the 35 before being stacked up.
Now, on the other end of the field, we talked about how strong Corey Philpott was. Well, Mike Pringle, 5'9", 195, and he just pushes the pile, I believe, for a first down.
Fans starting to get into it here at Memorial Stadium as the Stallions try to improve to 14-3 on the season. They've got the best record in the Southern Division of the CFL.
You know, I thought he had a little more forward momentum than where he got the mark. The mark's on the 36-yard line. I thought he got to the 30. Let's see if he pushes the pile a little bit here. Ball almost comes loose. Now watch him continue to drive. There it is. He's still fighting, and by the sound of the crowd, you can tell 1st and 10 Baltimore.
Mike Pringle, 18 carries, 92 yards, and this is usually the time that a coach like Dave Ritchie starts getting nervous.
Ball's on the 36, Gus. It's only a 43-yard field goal as it stands right now. Ball security, and you want to get another 10 or 12 yards if you can.
1 minute, 11 seconds remaining in the football game. Baltimore down 26-25. Pringle again, shredding through the defense, and he'll be close to the 30-yard line. Stopped at the 31. Tackle on the play made by Henry Newby.
Tackled by Tyrone Chapman.
Chapman and Ford, two guys trying to strip the football as Pringle comes through. This is a veteran defense, and they are coached. Their defensive coordinator, Gene Gaines, coaches this team to try and strip the football. Second and third guy in, goes for it, and there's Carlos warming up that leg.
3 of 4 on the evening. He missed a 50-yarder. Second down, 5, 45 seconds remaining in the game. Tracy Ham breaks containment at the 20. And he gets down inside the 15. 17-yard gain for Tracy Ham, the 9-year CFL veteran.
What a great combination of being a veteran and being a good athlete. He read blitz, took advantage of it. Both linebackers were gone, and he picks up a huge first down. Combination of being a savvy veteran and a good athlete. Gus, he just read blitz and took off the other way. That's a great job.
So they're going to try to eat up the clock here and get the ball back into the middle of the football field. Play action. Ham running. Looked up momentarily to see if anybody was open, but Toby Cates.
That was
covered by Eddie Thomas. And we're going to get a timeout right now by the Stallions.
Where to say, no, go ahead. You guys score. It's no big deal. Whatever you want.
Or get it back to the center of the field with only 15 seconds left. Ball right now sitting on the right hash.
That was a planned run that time.
And they've decided to get where to end the game and go for it right now. Kind of a tough kick, isn't it? Sitting on that right hash.
Remember, the goalpost is on the goal line. You don't have the 10-yard. He would rather the ball be back a little bit right now. That is a tough angle. You're on the hash, and you don't have a lot of room to work with. You got to get the ball up quickly, and it's got to be on the right angle.
The spot is at the 21.5-yard line, 20.5-yard line. Dan Crowley holding for Carlos Huerta. He's 3 of 4 on the evening. 12 from this distance on the year. And it's good.
Gus, we've been fortunate enough to see these two teams play a few times, and it seems like it always goes down to the end of the football game. Huerta concentration. Just a chip shot for him. Tough angle, but a chip shot.
Yeah, big sharp Bordanish almost kills the little kicker.
There's the look of the Lion right there. Intensity, head coach Don Matthews. Great job, guys. And on the other sideline, Dave Ritchie almost snuck away with one.
Speaking to Don Matthews yesterday, he said anything shy of winning the Grey Cup is a disappointment.
But you know, when you get a taste and come away empty like they did last year, there's only one thing that's going to solve that.
11 seconds left for Caravana, trying to get his team down the field, and he almost throws an interception.
Tracy Bradley catch the football. See, that's why Tracy plays defense. He wears that low number 7, but he plays defense for a reason.
And there's an injured player on the field. That's Stevenson for BC, the right tackle, 14-year veteran out of the University of Calgary.
Here's a guy that's been around a long time. He played 162 games in Saskatchewan, and you know who the defensive coordinator was there for a long time was Don Matthews.
Stevenson playing in his 210th game in the Canadian Football League.
They're probably going to have to bring Jim Mills in for him. They've got 6 seconds left on the clock, and Julio's just going to have to drop back and throw the football and hope something happens, interference or a free play.
No timeouts remaining for BC. They already wasted it. Trailing now 28-26. It's been a positive game, however, for Corey Philpott, and I don't know, do you think Coach Ritchie had a chance to see what he wanted to see from his quarterback?
Two different halves. I think Julio Caravata was a little shaky in the first half, which is Believe me, that's a normal situation your first start in the professional league. I thought he did a heck of a job coming back in the second half, making the correct reads and delivering the ball on time. So I think the answer to your question is, yeah, I think they go into next week feeling like they've got a backup quarterback that's capable.
Stevenson in a lot of pain as he's helped off the field.
See, one of the reasons, and there's his backup right there, Jim Mills, but one of the reasons they went to and won the Grey Cup last year is they stayed healthy down the stretch. They lost Ian Sinclair, their center, last week. Now, all of a sudden, Stevenson's out. They've got to get all their components back if they're going to be effective.
Should be the last play of the game here. As 4 receivers line up on the far side.
Don't forget Darren Flutie's one of them, so.
Boston College connection. Under pressure, and that will be your ball game. Alfred Payton with backside pressure on Julio Caravana, altering the throw. And the Baltimore Stallions come back on a 21-yard field goal from Carlos Huerta. They go on to beat the BC Lions by a score of 28-26.
Look at Stevenson's hurting a little bit there on the sideline. There's Gene Gaines shaking hands out there, defensive coordinator with Coach Matthews.
So after losing to the Lions earlier during the year, Baltimore with a little bit of revenge. We'll wrap this one up right after this. Stay with us. The CFL on ESPN has been brought to you by Tagamet HB. The most prescribed medication of its kind is now for heartburn. Final score, the Baltimore Stallions pick up their 9th straight win as they come back to beat the BC Lions by a score of 28-26. And welcome back to Memorial Stadium. Gus Johnson along with Mike Mayock. And Mike, when you look at this game, Baltimore under Don Matthews, Coach Matthews had a chance to really see and do what he wanted to do in this game.
Well, you know, he had to make a decision there in the third quarter. Tracy Hamm gets the concussion. They come in with Sean Jones, who doesn't get the job done. And you say, hey, what do you have to gain by keeping your starting quarterback in the game at that situation? I think he wanted to prove a point, and that is, we're a tough football team. If you play for me, you're going to stay in the game. You're going to finish the game. And what was really important is big players make plays at the end of games like that. That's a championship team.
And despite the loss, I had a feeling that Dave Ritchie had a chance to see and do the same thing.
I think what they told me yesterday and today is, aside from the win or loss column, the important thing was to play well, start some kind of drive for the playoffs, and that's what happened tonight.
Well, the Baltimore Stallions win their 9th straight. They go on to win the game 28-26. For Mike Mayock, I'm Gus Johnson saying so long from Memorial Stadium.